Hi, this is my Meet a Neuroscientist Pecha Kucha. My name is Sade Shepardson. This is for my Psych 410 Fall 2022 class. I will be speaking about Elan C. Hope, PhD. Dr. Hope's research is deeply rooted in combating the systematic racism on marginalized youth. She celebrates individual differences. And so, as we go through this presentation, we're going to learn more about her research and why it's so important. This is Dr. Elan Hope. She is an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology at North Carolina State University and director of the Hope Lab. In the Hope Lab, Dr. Hope and her team work on an asset-based approach. When Dr. Hope is not in the lab, she is in the field protesting against marginalized youth who are not celebrated based on difference. So we need to get outside of the box and do something different like Dr. Hope to combat this problem. While Dr. Hope has a focus on marginalized youth, she also focuses on the person and the environment, how systems impact an individual, how these systems that have been in place and policies are impacting the oppression that some individuals feel. Well, Dr. Hope examines well-being as psychological and physical health, academic success, and civic engagement. In her most recent work, Dr. Hope is examining factors that are related to well-being. This leads me to her current research. Dr. Hope is examining racial socialization, racial identity, critical consciousness, and community context. This is so important, and she describes herself as a womanist. This is a great example of what Dr. Hope is studying related to critical consciousness. As you see in the circles, it is all interrelated. It is our responsibility to create awareness and increase awareness as we become more critically conscious. Dr. Hope also has a focus on education inequality, especially as it relates to racially marginalized groups. You may have done some research on this before as psychology students. So, as you know, there is an inequality and injustice that exists in the education system. Dr. Hope does not just hope for equitable education for certain racial groups, but for all groups, because it is everyone's responsibility to create a better education system for future generations to come. While the past may look like this in a classroom, this is not so far off from our current reality. Redlining policies and other policies that Dr. Hope has studied highlight the systematic way that education has not been equitable in this country and change is needed. How does Dr. Hope suggest we change? We have to modify, we have to adjust, we can transform. We need to do something different. We do not need to create a new wheel. We just need to fine tune it and maybe even replace some parts, but change. In a progressive society like ours, you would think that there would not be people fighting against change, fighting against progression and advancement when it comes to equitable education for our new generation. But that is the case. So that's why it's so important, like Dr. Hope's research. Dr. Hope consistently represents the difference between equity and equality. So in this example, you see that the students are standing on different pedestals. It just depends on what level we need to bring each individual up to meet equity. What would this mean? This will mean better outcomes in the education system, better outcomes for college graduates, and retention rates in high school, better outcomes in general. So we need to not fight against equity, but support equity and find ways to enforce it. Dr. Hope suggests that if we fail to meet these standards, if we fail to create equity in our environments and take the system and person and environment and make improvements to create equity, we would receive a failing grade in life and in society. As a PhD graduate, I believe that it is clear with her research that the outcome and the hope of Dr. Hope's research is more graduates, more diversity in education, more diversity in labs, in fields, in offices, in public spaces. The question I would ask Dr. Hope are two questions. One, what made you want to elicit change? Number two, did you ever feel change was impossible and that the struggle was too great to affect change? My personal reflections after doing this assignment was I was so proud to see another African American female highlighting justice and equity and doing research as a PhD postdoctoral graduate doing the work. It made me proud. Below are my references for this presentation. Thank you very much for listening.